This was a comic book that I never thought that I would get in my collection. This is Suicide Squad #1 from the New 52 era. And I remember, I can't remember if it was after the first Suicide Squad movie or the James Gunn one. But there for a while, this book was some of the prices. I was just like, no, no, no. But hit up Midtown Comics in New York, found a good deal, and I couldn't say no. So I'm finally happy to have it. But I will admit, I remember when this book first came out when the New 52 dropped, and I read it, I hated it. And I think at the time, and I will say this is one thing that still kind of irks my gurk is pre-Flashpoint, Harley Quinn, femme fatale, wearing her Harlequin uniform, seeing her in action in her own comic book, which was absolutely amazing. I wish I could get the singles. And then, of course, her run with the original Gotham City Sirens with Ivy and Catwoman. Amazing work for its time. So we do Flashpoint, come to the New 52, and this is how they redesigned Harley. And it took a long time to just sort of get used to this because to me, seeing Harley in her old diamond black and red uniform, that's the Harley Quinn that we all know. So I will say that for Suicide Squads and moving forward into the future of DC, I just hate that. Though I did kind of like the sort of homage design that Tynion gave her in Batman when he was on it. That was okay. In this cover, all that bitching aside, absolutely gorgeous. I just love the grittiness and kind of shows you what you are in store for. And with all that said, I will say that still, when it comes to Suicide Squad, my preferred version was if I get the creator's name wrong, feel free to make fun of me. I just got off a 12-hour shift. I'm exhausted. But Jerry Ordway, right? Not Conway. It's, y'all know who I'm talking about. But the 80s version. There was just a lot to it in that book. And a lot of epic things happen. But I do like how we come into this and we kind of see what really happens in Secret Ops and all the horrible things can happen when things go wrong. So we open up and we see Deadshot getting the absolute torture of the metal bucket that gets warmed up with the rats that try to dig into your stomach to get away from the heat. Very, very uncomfortable. Yes, thank you. That was a long time coming. A scream lets me know we're making progress. I find shooting someone cold and impersonal. Can a sniper like you understand that, Deadshot? The intimacy of hands-on work. You can watch how it changes a man, makes even the loyalists see the errors of their way. He's right about one thing. Loyalty is for suckers. But so is being a rat. What I am is worse. So I kind of like the duplicity or duality here, should I say, of literal rats and figurative rats, which is sort of the whole theme of this opening issue. So everybody is just being tortured, trying to figure out who they're working for. And again, I like how when you open this, it's just a very uncomfortable feeling as you see all the hell that everyone is going through. So, Kicked in the Teeth. Print date November 2011. Writer Adam Glass. Artist Federico. Oh, y'all are going to make me try to pronounce that, aren't you? Is that an O or a D? Dallaccio? Sure. And Ransom Getty and Scott Hanna. Colors Val Staples. Letter Jared K. Fletcher. And then there's everyone else working on the book. And still, love this cover, or this cover, should I say this splash page. Just a good idea of seeing what's happening. And so they're basically pressing everyone to find out who they work for. And this guy says, no, my mommy's dead, just like yours. You've no parents, no brothers, no sisters. But there is someone in your life, someone you still care about. Maybe I'll pay her a visit. Right there, he makes the list. All this torture crap is just business. But if he knows about her, he needs to be settled. Like I settle all my business. And with that said, I love that we kind of get in each character's mind, sort of getting an idea. Again, every comic book should be your first comic. So I like that the way that we're introduced is through flashbacks. So we kind of get the idea of how Batman made him miss for the first time. Though, if you really want to get technical, back in what was it, the Silver Age, he used to look like essentially a magician. He had a top hat and all that stuff. So I'm glad that they finally gave him this uniform, and then they sort of retconned it to make him look the way he's supposed to. And so they go on to El Diablo, trying to make him talk. Show the warrior monk here the floor. And they're just pouring salt on open wounds and on his feet. My faith is being tested. How did a hood rat like you end up with this group? Out of your league a little, aren't you? Why don't you let me up and find out? And thunk, darkness, and with it, my sins. And you find out how he was in a gang, and the consequences of his actions caused harm to innocents, which what put him in Belle Reve. And then we go to Harley. and this, I think, is why when I first read this, before I got more serious about reading comics, I just hated the way they dyed her hair and gave it more of a weird punk rock look. I had to really get over it. I get it. They wanted to make things a little more dark and extreme and edgier. I get it now, and it took a long time for me to just sort of go with it. Are you ready to talk, Harley Quinn? Or do I make you wish you'd never... That's cute. You think you're scary, mister, but I've seen scary, and you ain't got a smile. Oh, and Scarecrow called. He wants his laundry back. Smart mouth, let's see your smile. It hurts, but I've been hurt worse. And so I like that at least the creative team here made it a point to show how Harley says, I miss you, Joker. And it coincides with the New 52 in Detective Comics #1, where we see Batman chasing the Joker, and then he just completely disappeared. And on that last panel where we saw him cut his face off, well, still one of the most horrendous scenes I've seen in comics. But we find out here that she's really broken down. We think this is Mr. J, but it ain't Mr. J, and I ain't going to go through all of it. So Black Canary goes to Buster. She goes, don't worry. I'll make sure that every lawyer that puts you away will dance. I'll dance with every one of them, Puddin'. I'll pile them so high you'll have to notice me. Black Canary looked sad when she arrested me. So again, the only one that we don't really get a backstory on is King Shark, though we just get the intenseness of what Nanaue is. Everyone thinks that he's dead. Ugh, just brutal to look at. So while all this is happening, we find out what happens to literal rats, how the Task Force X is put together and how they're activated. And I love this panel. I've seen it used in so many commentations about the Suicide Squad, so just to have the panel itself, gorgeous work all around. Now, with all that said, you're wondering, how the hell is this team going to survive? And then the madness of the paneling, the rat gets tortured for spilling the beans. And you just hear, I'm sorry, help, I'm sorry. Savant, you idiot. They were going to kill us no matter what. I'm not 100% sure what he's saying there. Good riddance. Help me, please, help me. Cowards. Meat. And then, of course, Harley with her evil femme fatale look. You feel the madness of what is going on in this book. And just when you think you get a breath, the Suicide Squad is dropped into another mission by Amanda Waller. So you don't get a minute to breathe in this book. It took me a long time to appreciate this run. Like, I've dived into the latter half, and I had a blast. Lots of adrenaline, lots of action. You're not bored. I have a blast every time I read this era of the Suicide Squad, other than maybe being a little disappointed about what they did with Harley. So that said, if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever there's going to get your action figures and comics, and grab this book if you can find it for a decent price. I know there's still certain places that are asking a high dollar for it, so Just good luck and may the force be with you. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little squad bell next subscribe, that way as I get you upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure I leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.